Okay, Likkutei Nosei, page Chavov, second column, A's base. We started A's base, but we'll go through it quickly to where it's a few lines. Okay, now Rabbi is explaining there's okay, the bottom line is he's discussing the whole Inyan of Birkat Samazin. He says, Beirachto es Hashem Elokecha. S is Aleph to Tov, all the letters, and he explains that's the level of the names, the highest of the letters, and that Adam Rishon was able to bring down, and that is the Maimer HaKoil Bereshis, is to unite all the 10 utterances, or the other 9 utterances, into the one.
It's called the Birkat Kohanim.
Yeah, that's right. So he says now like this, again, we learned 4 or 5 lines, we'll go quick. To bring down this level of Elokus is totally in the Aved of the Adam. Through by the person fighting the Nefesh Bamas. The concept of bread, which is Mochama. Like it says in the Zohar. Now about bread is eaten through a sword. In other words, it's a battle. They tefillah through the level of davening. Kishas, the Shas Korva, the Zohar says, the time of davening is the time of war, like it says, Reim is Kel Begreinim. V'cherpi is V'yodim, it's like a time of, when you're praising Hashem, which is davening, so then you have a double-edged sword. And therefore it says, Alavas Hashem Elokeichem u'lovdei b'chol levavchem, then you can have your safta d'ganecha. First you have to come to the level in davening, to have Avas Hashem, and then you can have the gathering of all the grains, all the sparks together. Okay, this is where we're up to. So he says, Pirush Ava, what does Ava mean? Loshen Ava inu Rotzen. Ava comes with wanting, which is the level of Rotzen. Vakavana, what it means is, what does it mean? To love Hashem, Shei Rotzen Adam, the whole will of the person. V'chevtzi b'koshoseh, and his desire and his requests, b'chol lev nefesh, with all his heart and soul. What is the ultimate wanting of a person? Liyazgil elokus, to be the revelation of elokus. V'yichud yizbarach ba'elam v'nefesh, that there should be the oneness of Hashem both in the world and by Him in the nefesh. And the same way, just like before creation, Hashem is still all over the place. The difference is, before Hashem created the world, the place where this world is was permeating and revealed godliness. Because world, which means halam, concealment, didn't exist. So before world was created, the only thing that was revealed in the world, in the future world, was godliness. Be in the 7,000th year era when Mashiach comes. So what do we say? Now what does the person want? That just like before the world was created, the only thing that existed was Elokus. The same thing he wants now, that the same thing now should be the same revelation of godliness in the world, that the world feels Einoid Mulvadi, that Hashem is the only existence. Ki ani Hashem lo yishani siksiv. I am Hashem that didn't change. Rak faneinu ha'ilem master ma'il. It's only by us the world conceals. Like a person hides behind a curtain, he's not hidden from himself. He's only hidden from the onlooker. Hashem is not hidden from the world. Because especially, even more so, Dr. Rabbi explains in Shayach V'Amuna, the concealment is also Him. Hashem Hu Elokim. So therefore, the reality is Hashem's not revealed. But what does Hashem want? That we, who have this concealment of godliness, should uncover the covering, remove the concealment, and we should have the revelation of Hashem just like it was at the beginning of the world. So what does it mean, La'avas Hashem Elokeichem? Not only to love Hashem, what do we want? Hashem Elokeichem, that the only thing that exists is Hashem. What should the person's desire and want be? Shavaya, which is Haya Hova V'yeh B'li Shinui. Or past, present, and future simultaneously. Ve'einoid mamish movade. And einoid movade should become Elokecha. In other words, after what does the person want? Hashem should be Elokecha. Hashem or Elokim. Is revealed.
Before creation?
Yeah. The essence of Hashem.
Essence before creation.
Correct. The truth is even more so. Because you read the Tzedek Aliyah. If Hashem has a revelation of godliness, then he conceals himself. To have the re-revelation the same way it was before the concealment, why did he do the concealment? Just stay where you are. Because Hashem Dafka wants it, Gunant and the other Maimorim. Dafka in this world, with concealments and everything, and the person still does Torah mitzvahs, they reveal a greater level of godliness than there was before the world was created. If not, why create the world?
Is there such a thing?
Yeah. Obviously there is. That's because that's what happens.
When you go up there at the higher level, there is no greater or lesser. It is only.
There are stages, there are levels of how much Hashem is revealed. So we reveal more than it was at the beginning of creation.
Hashem created the world because he wanted us to reach the highest level that he created.
Dira betachtein. That's what it means. Huh? So that's what we want. Kachiyeh lemata begilui. What do we? Because you can't say down here. Down here, Hashem exists anyway. It's just we don't see him. So what does he want? The purpose of Torah mitzvahs is to give a gilui. Belishim has to panim v'helim. Mikoiches nefesh habamis, that none of the powers of the nefesh habamis, hamalstid umalim and gilui zeh, that conceal and cover this revelation, v'nimshach imach gashmis elam hazeh, and to be drawn after the gashmistic things, v'chum nishenir alein basal yash v'daber f'nei atzmei, that we shouldn't be wanting gashmistic things which conceal godliness. In other words, what do we not? Because nefesh habamis by nature wants gashmias, right? So not only are we not giving in to the nefesh habamis, we're causing that the nefesh habamis' desires should also be only elokus. And that's all what davening is all about. Therefore, sul atfila, sulam mutzav arza. Sulam, like the pasuk said by Yaakov Avinu's dream, when he instituted the tefillah of Ma'ariv, he says, Sulam mutzav arza v'reish magia shemaima. So what is davening? It starts from the ground and then go up. That's why Chassidus explains, the pasuk says, the malachim in the dream were going up and down. So the question is, l'chayra malachim first come down and then go up. Why does it say going up and down? So simply Rashi quotes in the Medrash, the malachim of Eretz Yisrael that accompanying him left, and the Chutz La'aretz angels came down. But Chassidus explains, no, that's the whole concept of tefillah. The concept of tefillah, memata l'mayla, going lower to higher. Shetzarach lahaska mimata mata. How does davening go? You start from the lowest level. Birkat says shachar, pekech ivrim take fufim. He opens up. He lets the blind see. He straightens out the crooked. Shekol tefillah birkat baruch ata. The whole concept of davening is baruch ata, meaning sheinam shachas gili elokus ba'elam v'nefesh. They have this revelation of elokus in the person b'chinas ata. In a way of ata, what are we baruch? What are we baruching? What are we bringing down? The level of ata. First, you have to go then from lower to higher. So davening, first you have the lower levels of davening, then you have the next stage, and the next stage, the 4 stages of davening. Until you come to the level of Yahafta. Limbs in nafshi be'ech mamish in the level b'chol levav chol nafshcha mesidus nefesh v'liyez Yahafta b'chol levavcha. He says like this. The nefesh elokis itself, from where it came from. By nature, the neshama is a part of Hashem. So the nature by the nefesh, the neshama, the nefesh elokis, by nature, is drawn to elokus. Therefore, the nefesh doesn't need to be fixed, refined. It's a piece of God. But because the neshama comes into the nefesh habamas, and therefore this neshama needs to rely on the gashmistic sparks of elokus that are in the food. So the problem is the nefesh elokis gets drawn down here. Therefore, we need to re-elevate the neshama that came down all the way into this world to break evil, transform evil, and therefore you need to serve Hashem with both hearts, nefesh elokis and nefesh habamas. Therefore, because tefillah is refining the animal soul, you can't go to the highest levels, refine it right away. You have to start lower, step by step, get the journey step by step. And that's the sulam mutzav artzev regea shemegea shemaima. Achemegea lechot. In fact, Chassidus explains, as Friedrich Rebbe explains in the Maimer, that there's eretz and there's arza. There's shemayim, and there's hashemayim. So it says, arza is lower than eretz, and shemayim is higher than shemayim. So it says, this sulam, mutzav arza, even lower than the level of eretz. Eretz refers to gashmis. This is arza refers to chumnis, coarseness, and that stuff. V'reish megia hashemayim is even, you reach higher than shemayim. V'hidei malach elokim elim v'yodem be'ba'odam. And therefore, what does it accomplish? That in the person we have the level of malach elokim elim v'yodem. Meaning, ki adam u'sheir shakel. A person, the whole world was created for the person. So the person is the source of everything. That's why the Medrash says a person is a mini world. Adam is Elam Katan, and the world is Adam Gadol. It's so whatever exists in the world first exists within the person, and then from the person it goes into the world. Like it says, smell the lion on the right side of the Merkava, the ox on the left, over the moose, Penny Adam. Generally speaking, it's the level of Adam. Shakel or Kol Dalet Chayis includes all the 4 Chayis of the Merkava. V'kol and Misalm and all the Malachim become elevated. B'salus Nefesh Adam. When the person becomes elevated, B'dveikus B'lokim Chayim La'avas Hashem, to love Hashem. So not only are we elevating ourselves, but we're elevating everything that exists in the world. That's why Chassidus explains a person is composed of inanimate, plant, animal, and human. You have inanimate, there's water in in our body, there's water. And then you have plant, that's inanimate. Then you have plant, things that grow like the hair, the nails. And then you have the animal part of the person, then you have the person part of the person. So all these things are found within the human himself. No, because he said the whole Aved of Tefillah is the ladder going Mimata Lamaila. So I just said, it's not only Stam Mimata Lamaila. You're going from Arza, which is even lower than Eretz, to Hashemayim, which is even greater than Shemayim. What?
Just like Hashemayim has a hay, Musav Ha'arsa.
Yeah, Arza, no, with a hay.
But that, I mean, is that grammatical, or is that grush? That added says lower, because grammatically it means to the eretz, or to Shabbat.
I understand. So it's, yeah. In Hebrew grammar, it should have said, Sulam Mutzav Mei Aretz, V'reishe Magia Lehashamayim. So in Hebrew, yeah, in Diktuk, you're right. Hey is to, or from. But here it's explaining a Pichsidis in Drush that no, Hashemayim is higher than Shemayim and Aretz. Yeah.
Why is it saying is that when you add the hey? Is
that we reach, not only do we take Gashmias, we take Chumrias, and we elevate that level higher than Ruchnias.
But if I wanted to explain it to someone, I wouldn't know. I would just have to take it as Kabbalah soul, that add something is lower than Aretz, Hashemayim is higher. Is this grammatical, or is this...
I just told you, it's grammatical, but why doesn't the Taka say Mei Aretz Lehashamayim?
Because it's grammar. It could say it that way.
I understand, but usually it doesn't say it that way. It usually says Mei Aretz,
But is there proof in grammar?
Mei Al Hashemayim, Mei Al.
Is there proof in grammar that add something is lower than Aretz? Or that's just...
There's no proof in grammar. Grammar is grammar.
But it's drush.
Yeah, I said, it's in Drush. Then you have to gather the grain after you have this ava. That what you want is it should only be alukus, and not only that, that the gashmis becomes also alukus. Then you have a savta de ganecha. What does it mean? When you say you're gathering the sparks, well, what are you gathering? You're gathering the sparks of kedusha that's in the food. You're not gathering the food. You're gathering the sparks of kedusha that are in the food. Chayes, the cool, that all these sparks of kedusha, they were spread out amongst the klip of nega, the yuch lebechinas adam, and it should become the level of adam, meaning the level of kedusha. Adam le'oyin. That's why before davening you're not allowed to eat. So then you're not allowed to eat before davening. Why? Ki gam ha'adam adayin az makush lemato. Because before davening is you reach a level that you only want ruchnias, so therefore you're elevating all the sparks of kedusha. But you didn't daven yet. The person is all the way down, 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 down. How in the world can he elevate the sparks of kedusha? As I'm a kosh lemato veichucha lekashet acherim. Like it says, first evaluate yourself and then evaluate others. How can he elevate the world if he doesn't elevate himself first? L'chein tzarech mitchila lekashet asatzmi. To be a level of Adam, which is Gematria Ma, which is a level of Bittul, which is the whole concept of Tefillah. Tefillah is the level of Bittul. Right? Then, okay? So the Alter Rebbe is explaining how in the world do we elevate all those sparks that he was speaking about before, about the bread with the Melchama and all that. So he's speaking in Ruchnias. It means you have to fight, meaning you have to first daven, which is a fight with the Nefesh Habahamis. Then you come to the Avas Hashem Elokeichem Oldo. That what do you want is only that Havaya is Elokeichem, and then you'll be able to gather the sparks, because then you're not interested in eating, you're not interested in food or drinking or any other gashmistic things. Your whole goal is that Einay Mulvade Elokus should be revealed. Then you're able to gather all the sparks of Kedusha and elevate it. Did he finish the Maim yet? No. Okay. When we finish the Maimer, and then no, we'll probably finish this week. Another explanation of this whole thing is The neshamas is all of a machshava are in a very lofty level of machshava. Hainu shenim shchomeis is a machshava. Neshamas come again. Hashem created the world with speech. Okay, then He created neshamas with machshava, or like He blew into it. Like it says on the pasuk, Samtik Kat Kait. Vine Adem Em Tzemech Chai comes from the letters of Dibur. Right? How did Hashem create inanimate plant and animal? It was all speech. What did Hashem do by the neshama? Vayipach ba'apav. V'chein kedei la'alos eisis adibur. In order to elevate the sparks of kedusha that were spoken through dibur, so to speak, sheyordu lamata, they came down. La'alois and l'shoshim, to elevate them is al yidei ha'adam. Who elevates the sparks? Only the Adam. That come from the letters of thought, which is higher than the level of dibur. In other words, the question is, you need something higher to elevate something lower. So the answer is, yeah. That's why all the things in the world that we need to elevate, inanimate plant and human, and animal, inanimate plant and human, inanimate plant and animal, is all elevated by a person who comes from a higher level than everything else. Inanimate plant, animal comes from speech of Hashem, and this comes from thought. Therefore, this elevation of Gashmis Talukus is tlui aydei mitchili yisakin atzmi. First, you have to fix yourself, like it says, ksheit atzmacha, and then ksheit achedim. So, what does that mean? Shetisal nafshi. To elevate your nefesh, it comes from the letters of machshava. Tis'ala b'mokah kecha machshava. Should go back to the source of thought, and even higher, then you can elevate Eisis Adibur. Like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, how in the world, don't be a shaita, he says. For the Beinoni to think, or the Rasha to think he could elevate as a neshama, like a tzaddik could, he says, if you're all the way down, how in the world do you expect to elevate this great thing? You want to elevate the world, you have to first elevate yourself. So he says in Gimel, V'inei aliyah sa'adam ha'yidei atfilah. How does a person become elevated? We're saying in order to elevate the sparks of Kedusha, you need to elevate the person first. Because like he's quotes now the word of the Baal Shem Tov. Where the person's will is, that's where he is. Right? So he just says in different letters. Where the longing of the person is. Which is the word of the Baal Shem Tov. Where a person's will is, that's where you are. Like the expression for students in the classroom, it's better for them to be outside the room looking in than inside the room looking out. If you're inside the room looking out because you want to be out, and if you're outside looking in, you want to be in. And that's now Birkas Kohanim, that's the level of Yivarechecha Hashem. Okay? I know, what does it mean? Yivarechecha Hashem, liyitzri b'yalos nitzutzin. To elevate all these sparks of Kedusha. To elevate the power of the Nefesh Elokis and the Keiches of Nefesh Abamis and in the Malachim. Umashkim v'shar tzrochav. Hamischachis lapkorim. And all the necessities of a person that become refreshed every day. Ve'elis l'mayla b'chol yem b'sirus tzedusata. Aydei ha-tfilah. That, like you said before, tefillah, we come the battle, and we realize, what is my desire only? That Havaya becomes Elokim, Elokecha. So then, Beri begodu v'eitzim is kasha ava azah shebekirshma tefillah. That's the union V'rechecha Hashem. V'rechecha Hashem means that this desire that you accomplished, Hashem is giving you. Yivarech Hashem, Hashem is bringing down the skili of Yud Kei Vav Kei.
You accomplished the other.
Yes, sir. In other words, it's called a vicious cycle. Our Avodah is we got to do it. Then we reveal Hashem. Correct? Then we reveal Hashem, then we have to go more. And then there goes the greater level of Hashem. Then we need to do more things. But that all begins with Vayikra Moshe. Even the Avodah Mamata L'mayla, Adam Ki Yakriv, which is Tefillah, Karbonis, Gashmis, the only way a person has a koyach to be makriv, that's through Vayikra Moshe, the Gilui Mamayla. No, it's not. Right, okay, you're right. It's a beautiful cycle. It's not. It's a good cycle. It's vicious, by the way, in Ruchni is. In a positive vicious. Just like there's negative vicious, in Kedusha is also vicious. Okay. Vicious, by the way, is the expression, like the Frierdiker Rebbe said, what's Mesiras Nefesh? Azei nitandish. This is the way it's going to be, and it's not any different. The attitude of a person by Mesiras Nefesh means, it doesn't matter what, this has to be done, that's what's going to happen. Right? That's vicious. You don't reckon with anything else around. You don't reckon with any of the blockages, challenges, difficulty. You don't reckon with that. That's vicious.
Bend it all the way this way to go.
Yeah. What is the inyan of bracha? It says, Al derech moshel azeret semech min asada. Shenizra garin. But it's like when you plant something, right? You plant it, we learned in the other mimer. You plant something, you plant it in the ground. You cover it with the ground. It becomes buried in the ground, right? Completely concealed. And then he doesn't say it here, but he learned in the other mimer, it germinates, it rots. By day, and then for it, like it says in the Zohar, Chassidus always brings it down. When a person, before he's about to plant, he believes in God and then plants. Because you can put a seed in the ground, nothing can happen. It can not rain. Even if it rains, whatever, it doesn't happen. So you have the brach v'atzlocha, shetzliach v'asapedi. When it becomes the fruit, then you get it. What's the bracha? That one little seed produces a tree or a ton of grain, whatever. The same way it says, the Zodati is Beis Yisrael. The pasuk says, Hashem says, I'm planting the Jews ba'aretz, v'zolati li ba'aretz. She Yisrael ein b'chinas zriyah. What is a Jew? He's saying now like this. A Jew is God planting himself in the ground to grow. Takes in the neshama. Chelak alakam imal. He plants zriyas b'chinas elukus, planting the level of elukus. Like it said, Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael. V'nim she'ulamata ba'elam ha'gashmi, comes into the gashmistic world. U'mechus u'mluvim b'nefesh habamis, and it becomes covered and concealed by the nefesh habamis v'keiches ha'masiv l'dvarim gashmiyim. Yeah, u'kamei azriya tumun u'mechus ba'aretz. In other words, why did the Eibishter take the Jews and plant us in covered in mud? Because he wants us to grow. You can't take a seed and have it grow. The only way a seed is going to grow is if you bury it in the ground, then it grows. Huh? It should also be part of becoming one.